Hello, my friend, and welcome back. Today, I want to do a card pull and see what message the universe has for us today. Ooh, okay. So we pulled Warrior Woman, and I love this card. I feel like I say that every time, but I love this card. So it says, have you answered your deepest calling? And it's so funny because we were talking about the other day that when we're drawing the same cards over and over again, that, it is the universe like really trying to reinforce that message. And I was drawing this Warrior Woman card earlier in the year over and over again. I think this is the first time I've drawn it for a video. But for myself personally, I was drawing it over and over again, and it was just so interesting because, it's a question, have you answered your deepest calling? And I feel like at that point, I really hadn't. And I feel as though that I am closer now. However, I just drew this card and this message is just as much for me as it is for you. So, there's still a message here for me too. So just a little bit more about the card. So it is the Warrior Woman card, a woman wielding a sword. And what this card is really telling us is that when we surrounding our deepest calling, a lot of times is a lot of fear and it's a lot of hesitation, and it can come out in many different ways. It can come out as being too busy to get to it. It can come out as actual fear around it. It can come out as procrastination. It can come out in a multitude of different ways, and it's different for everyone depending on what feelings are surrounding the deepest calling. But I feel like that fear is probably the biggest one, and fear a lot of times can cause us to procrastinate and to put things off and to get the things later. Or there's also, I think, a lot of worthiness surrounding your deepest calling, because a lot of times your deepest calling may not be what you went to school for and what you think you should be doing with your life. A lot of times your deepest calling is calling you to step up and to level up and to evolve and to become a different person, to really rewrite your identity. And not only is there a lot of fear around that, but I think that there is also a lot of worthiness that surrounds that. Am I enough to do this calling? Am I enough? And that is something that I personally still struggle with and struggled with before starting doing these videos. Am I in, can I do this? Can I do these videos? Am I enough to where, I feel as though I am tapping into divine entities that inspire these videos? Can I do that? Who am I to do that? Do I have enough education? Do I have enough knowledge? Have I done enough inner work? And, am I spiritually sound enough to do this? These were all things that surrounded me doing these videos. And what really helped a lot is, because I think that they came into my life perfectly, I actually watched a couple YouTube videos about spiritual influencers or teachers actually talking about this exact same feeling. And what their message was is that, when you are having those feelings surrounding something that you feel called to do, you are not alone. You are not the only one that feels that way. And in fact, pretty much everyone feels that way. And it's so random, but I just thought of this. I was listening to a podcast with Paula Abdul, like Miss American Idol, like pop star of the 80s and I guess 90s, I don't really know. And she mentioned imposter syndrome. They asked her a question. I don't really remember what the question was, but her answer was one of the biggest things that she struggles with to this day is imposter syndrome. So someone who has been like famous for over 30 years now and has done like so many things, for them to say that they still struggle with imposter syndrome is really telling. It is really telling about, and I'm not just saying telling about her self-worth, and I'm not saying in that way. I'm just saying it's very telling about that everyone experiences this. And when you are called to do something outside of your comfort zone, which your calling is 99% most likely to be outside of your comfort zone, because your calling is not just about you spreading value to the world. It is very much about that, but it's not just about that. Your calling takes you out of your comfort zone because your calling forces you to grow and to evolve, because that is the point of life. That is why we're here. We're here to have experiences and to grow and evolve through those experiences. And so that is why your calling is not within your comfort zone. Your calling can utilize your natural talents and abilities, however, and your passions, of course, but your calling is always going to ask you to level up. And that is why the Warrior Woman card is yielding a sword, because, you're not actually going into battle, but you're battling a lot of different things. You're battling the ego. You're battling fear. You could be battling society. If you're doing something like this that is kind of esoteric and is against the grain of what is quote unquote normal, that is your battle. That is your war. That is the warfare that you are fighting, okay? It's not a physical warfare. It's not grab your gun and, head out to the battlefield. That is not the war that we are battling right now. We are battling in a very much internal, energetic war. And our calling requires us to pick up that sword where we can slay that unworthiness. We can say, no, I am enough. I am worthy of living a life of passion. I am worthy of fulfilling my calling. Otherwise, it would not be my calling. And, to pick up that sword and to understand that you have everything within you to fulfill this calling. And yes, to fulfill your calling, you might need some outside training, like, if it's calling you to start a business, like, yeah, you might have to learn QuickBooks, or you might have to learn a couple, social media and a few different things like that. But essentially, at the root of your calling, everything that you need from that already exists within you. And all of the strength you need to pick up that sword already exists within you. And one of the reasons why it always exists within you, the biggest reason is because you are a divine being. You are cut from the divine cloth. Therefore, you are divine. And that is probably the only reason you need to understand that things lie within you. However, if you're looking for more of a concrete reason why, is because you have lived many lives that prepared you for this life. Karma and lessons and learning stay with you. They stay with your soul. You may not humanly remember them. However, they always stay with your soul. So you were born for this lifetime. You were literally born for this lifetime, born into this lifetime. And if you weren't meant to have this calling and you weren't meant to live this life, you would not be here. The divine does not make mistakes. And so you have to look at your past lives as preparation. You know, if you want to put it into the warrior aspects, what do warriors do before they quote unquote go to war? They train, they practice in all different kinds of fields. You know, they take care of their bodies, they take care of their minds, they connect spiritually. These are a lot of, you know, ancient practices of warriors. And yes, it's, you know, practices for warriors are different depending on the culture. I totally understand that, but a lot of the things are the same. No warrior goes into war, you know, with no training. Like, what's that movie where, you know, in their mind they're like this kung fu fighter, but in real life they're like, ah. Like, you know, because there's no practice. Well, we've had practice. There's been practice. There's been training. And, you know, for light workers and way showers, which watching this video you are, we have had lifetimes upon lifetimes of experiences and lessons and quote unquote training for this lifetime. And all of those things are kept in the records. You know, you can call upon Archangel Uriel. He is the record keeper, to ask him to help you to have access to all of your lessons and all of the evolution and all of the training that you have done in the past lifetimes. You can ask him to help you bring that into this lifetime as you carry out your calling. And, you know, I just want to say one more thing. Like, there is a lot with the fear that surrounds your calling. When you are able to push past that and you are able to allow yourself to fulfill that calling, to follow that calling, it will be your highest joy. Not every single aspect of it, but the meat of it will be your highest joy. And you just have to kind of push past that wall, like that fear membrane, to get into the heart of what your calling is. And I can only say that because I had a lot of fear around doing this, around these videos, around everything. But once I just gave it to God, and I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna try it. And this is the best part of my day. This is what I wake up with a smile on my face because I know that I get to do this every day. And I'm getting a little emotional right now because I think it's such an important message, and I feel like I'm not the only one that had been searching for so long. And it was interesting, like, that my, you know, what is right now my highest joy ends up being something, I don't want to say simple or easy, because there is a lot of other work that goes around it. However, you know, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Yes, these videos do come to me easily. And I just enjoy it so much. And it was like, you know, you feel like you're struggling and pushing and pushing and pushing so much for something, and then your calling, your highest joy, ends up being something that comes to you so easily. And I think that if we were all to truly look at our highest joy, or what we're being called to do, to try that you will find that it will come to you easier too. And the reason why it comes easily is because it's what you're meant to do. And the universe has kind of just lined up all of the blocks, all of the things you need, all of the stepping stones to follow that calling. All you need to do is continue to take the steps. And you have to do, you know, of course, like, obviously the inner work of letting go of the fear, letting go, like, not pushing past in a resistant way, but just, you know, having that trust and faith that you are following your heart. And if you think something is your calling and it ends up not being, that's fine. You've learned from that too. There is no wrong step. But if you have been having that feeling that you should be following a certain calling and you're not, this is your sign that it's time. This is your sign that you are meant to be following that calling. And, have you answered your deepest calling? It's called a calling for a reason, because if you don't answer it, it will continue to call, like redial, over and over again. And you will continue to feel unfulfilled. And you will continue to feel like you are seeking until you answer that call. So that is our message for today, my friends. I love that message. I think it's so beautiful, and we are all warriors for the light. So let's keep fighting, my friend. I hope to see you soon.